Imagine waking up to a fire that burns your home to the ground, leaving behind only ashes and unanswered questions. But here's the twist: 5 children are missing, and no one can explain why. Was it a tragic accident or something far darker? As the mystery unfolds, shocking secrets emerge, and you'll be left questioning everything you thought you knew. Don't miss out on the mind-bending details of this chilling case, because once you know, you can never unknow. In the quiet hills of Fayetteville, West Virginia, on Christmas Eve in 1945, an unimaginable tragedy struck the Sodder family. This haunting story of loss, suspicion, and unrelenting search for truth has baffled investigators and captivated minds for decades. But what really happened that fateful night? Was it a devastating house fire or something far darker? A night that would change everything. It was just after 1:00 a.m. on December 24, 1945, when a fire erupted in the Sodder family home. George and Jenny Sodder, along with 4 of their children, managed to escape the inferno, but 5 of their children, Morris, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, remained upstairs. The staircase was engulfed in flames, and George's desperate attempts to rescue his children were thwarted. His ladder was missing, and his coal trucks, normally reliable for climbing on top of, refused to start. The fire department, alarmingly, did not respond until 8:00 a.m., 7 hours after the blaze had started. By then, the house had been reduced to a pile of ash. The search for the children's remains was fruitless. There were no bones, no evidence that the 5 missing children had perished in the fire. Instead, a deeper, more unsettling question began to take shape: were they kidnapped? Unraveling the mystery. The fire chief's suggestion that the intense heat had incinerated the children's bodies was questioned by George and Jenny, who knew better. Bones are rarely destroyed completely by fire, and no smell of burning flesh was reported. In fact, household appliances, typically made of metal, were found intact in the rubble, but there were no traces of the children's remains. Furthermore, George had recently had the wiring checked by the local power company, which had deemed it safe. The possibility of faulty wiring was starting to look increasingly unlikely. Was this fire deliberately set? If so, who would be capable of such an act? A tapestry of controversy and suspicion. To understand the possible motives behind the fire, we must delve into George Sodder's history. Emigrating from Italy, George was a vocal critic of Mussolini, creating tensions within the local Italian community in Fayetteville. His outspoken views, combined with the fact that he had never fully disclosed the reasons for leaving Italy, led to wild speculation. Was George involved in something shady back in Italy? Could these tensions have played a role in the kidnapping of his children? The life insurance salesman's threat. In the months leading up to the fire, a life insurance salesman paid a visit to the Sodder family. When his attempt to make a sale failed, he reacted with a chilling threat. Your goddamn house is going up in smoke, and your children are going to be destroyed. This foreboding remark was not just a random outburst. It seemed to eerily predict the events that would unfold just months later. Could this man have known something? Was this a direct threat connected to George's outspoken views? The possibility of a vendetta seemed increasingly plausible. Clues and witnesses point to foul play. There were other strange occurrences the night of the fire. At around 12:30 a.m., the phone rang and Jenny answered. Strangely, the lights downstairs were still on. This was odd, considering the fire was reportedly caused by faulty wiring. If the wiring was faulty, the lights should have gone out. Why were they still on? Then came an even more peculiar detail: a loud bang on the roof, followed by something rolling across it. Was this the sound of a bomb? Could someone have intentionally set the fire using a napalm pineapple bomb, a weapon similar to those used during the war? Did they escape the fire? Witnesses to the fire and events surrounding it provided further unsettling clues. One woman claimed to have seen the children in a car while the fire was still raging. Another reported seeing 4 of the missing children with 2 women and 2 men weeks after the fire. These witnesses described the group as being of Italian descent, and the children seemed strangely distant, as though they were being kept under watch. What does this mean? Could the Sodder children have been taken? Could they still be alive today? The role of the police and fire department. Despite the mounting evidence suggesting foul play, the local authorities were strangely uncooperative. George and Jenny attempted to involve the FBI, but the Fayetteville police and fire departments denied their offer to help. Why would they refuse such assistance? Was there something they were hiding? George and Jenny's suspicions grew even stronger when they learned that the life insurance salesman who had threatened them was on the jury that declared the fire an accident. it became clear that there was something deeply suspicious about the official investigation into the fire. A private investigator and a shocking discovery. Determined to uncover the truth, the Sodder family hired private investigator C. Tinsley. Tinsley uncovered several startling revelations, including the discovery that the fire chief had supposedly hidden a human heart, later revealed to be beef liver, in a dynamite box to provide the family with closure. Was this an attempt to cover up a botched investigation, or was it part of a larger conspiracy? Tinsley's investigation also led him to uncover the name of the life insurance salesman who had threatened George, further casting doubt on the fire's true cause. Were the bones truly from the fire? In 1949, a pathologist named Oscar B. Hunter was hired to excavate the dirt that had been piled over the Sodder basement. He discovered 4 shards of human vertebrae, which he sent to the Smithsonian for analysis. The bones were found to belong to a 16 to 17-year-old individual, far older than any of the missing children, who were all under 14 at the time of the fire. Furthermore, the Smithsonian concluded that there was no evidence the bones had been exposed to fire. This discovery further confirmed that the children's bodies had never been in the fire. What had really happened to them? The Sodder family's never-ending search. Despite the numerous leads, sightings, and investigations, the mystery of the Sodder children's disappearance remains unsolved. The family continued to search for answers, even as George and Jenny aged and eventually passed away. George in 1969 and Jenny in 1989. Their tenacity, however, lived on in their daughter Sylvia, who maintains that her siblings did not die in the fire. The Sodder family even set up a billboard along Route 16, which remained there for almost 40 years, imploring anyone with information to come forward. But still the questions remain unanswered. Were the Sodder children victims of a tragic house fire, or were they victims of a cruel and calculated abduction? What happened to the Sodder children? As we reflect on this heartbreaking case, we are left with more questions than answers. Could the Sodder children still be alive today, somewhere out there? Were they taken in the dead of night, spirited away to live under a new identity? And if so, who was behind it all? The truth remains hidden, buried beneath layers of confusion, official negligence, and perhaps a well-guarded secret. For now, the fate of the Sodder children remains one of the most chilling and mysterious disappearances in American history. The truth behind the Sodder children's disappearance is still one of the most baffling mysteries in history, and you've only scratched the surface. What if everything you just learned is part of a bigger conspiracy? The unanswered questions keep piling up, but we're not stopping here. Our next video, The Unsolved Murder of Jill Dando, takes you deeper into a world of intrigue and unsolved crimes. Trust us, you won't want to miss it. Hit that subscribe button right now to stay on this journey with us, because the next story could change everything. Don't wait, be the first to uncover the truth.